Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah in a new video. In today's video, we're gonna learn how to make a bottom sheet that show place details once we click it. And the places in the Google Map world, it's called place marks. And we're gonna learn how to allow the user search using search bar in the map. And for example, if we write Rome, it's gonna move the camera to Rome. And if we write Mecca, it's gonna move the camera to Mecca location. And once we click any place on the map, it's gonna show that place mark details like the country and the locality and then the area and then the street name. So let's start. And to do what view on the intro, we just need to duplicate the elevated button. And we're gonna name it Location Details. So once we click this button, it's not gonna navigate us to my picker screen. We need to make a new screen, and we're gonna name this screen Location Details Picker the Dart. And what we want to do on this screen, we're gonna allow the user, once they click on specific place or place mark on the map, it should show the details. So we're gonna make duplication of the map picker screen. It's the old one. So we're gonna copy it and edit it to do the functionality that we need. So we're gonna copy it and we're gonna paste it in the new file, and we're gonna rename the widget by selecting the name and hit Ctrl D 6 times to select all the names, and then we're gonna write the name that we want. For example, Location Details Picker Screen. And then in the main dart, we're gonna go to the elevated button that's called Location Details. We're gonna replace with the new screen here. So once we visit this screen, it's gonna show the default map that we made. And we're gonna customize it and remove a few things. First of all, we need the get user location, so we will keep it. So what the things that we don't need them anymore? For example, we don't need to update the user location once the camera moves. So we're gonna go to the Google Map widget and we will remove on camera move key, and we don't need the stack and the icon in the center, so we're gonna delete the positioned, and then we're gonna delete the stack. So now we have the default camera. We just need to delete the elevated button pick location, because we are not gonna pick any location here. So we need to delete both of the floating action button and the floating action button location. Google Map widget contains several types of keys. If we put the mouse on top of it, we can explore them. And one of them, it's called on tab function or on tab. And this on tab have a variable, and this variable it's called argument, and its type is lat long, and it's the location that the user click on the map. To double check if it's worked perfectly, we're gonna print the latitude. For example, we're gonna print argument.latitude.toString because it's double value. So we're gonna put the print inside KDebug mode because we don't want that to work in release mode. So once we click on specific place, it's gonna print the latitude. And in our case here, the argument variable, it's helped me to detect and return the latitude and the longitude of tabbed location. And now let's talk about Flutter geocoding package or geocoding package. And this package have several types of functions, and of course it's have a configuration, for example the Android setup, and we already did that in previous lesson when we used the Google Map package before. So already we have these keys enabled in our project, and our compile SDK version is already 35. Check the video in the eye circle if you miss it. If we look here in the documentation, in the API we have two functions. The first function, if we pass to this function name, it's gonna return list of locations. As we can see here, list, the type location, is equal to await location from address, and this we can use it for search or search bar. For the second one, it's returning list of a place mark. We're gonna name it place marks. It's equal to await place mark from credentials. And as we know, the map is very large image containing countries, states or localities, and then areas, and then streets. So each point on the map that containing latitude and longitude, it's called a place mark. And each place mark have a name and details. Once we click on a specific point on the map, this point, maybe it's an empty point. So this function is gonna fetch the closest points around the tabbed or picked point, and it's gonna arrange them or sort them by close to close one. So let's starting and take the dependency from here, and then we will go to pubspec.yaml, and we're gonna add it as any package that we use. So let's back to the documentation, and we will start with the list that returning list of a place mark. We have to pass latitude and longitude, and it's gonna return us list of a place mark. So we're gonna copy this function, and we will go to the onTap function, and we're just gonna import the package here by clicking on command dot, or we can press on the helper icon to show me the allowed action that I can use. Then we will make this function a synchronized function. After that, we're gonna make .then function, and it's gonna return the places. And as we can see, this function returning future list of type placemark. So if we check the places, it's list of a placemark data type. Instead of keeping the default lat and long, we're gonna replace it with the argument latitude and longitude to fetch the places. So once we tab at any point on the map, it's gonna automatically go and fetch the places and then execute our logic. Let's double check and print places dot first because it's list, and then once we type dot, we can see all the attributes that we can use. For example, administrative area, country, ISO country code, locality, name, street, and more of details of the picked place mark. So let's check it and just print the street name, for example. So we're gonna put it inside key debug mode. And if we click OK, we have an error here because we didn't terminate and relaunch the app. So once we want to use the geocoding package, we have to rerun the app. And once we back to the app and press location details, once we click at any place on the map, it should print the street name. So to make it easier, we're gonna print the street word with the street name. So we're gonna write here and print street. Once we tab at any place on the map, as we can see, it's printing the street name. As we can see, we pressed or tabbed many times. So now how we can use this to show sheet that show the placemark details? We're gonna make a stateless widget. We're gonna name it placemark details sheet. And once we call this widget, we have to pass to it final placemark data type. We're gonna name it placemark, and we're gonna make it required when you call or use this widget. And in the return, we're gonna define container widget, and the child of this container, it's gonna be column widget, and inside the children of the column, we're gonna add text. The first one is gonna be the title, and we're gonna duplicate it. The second one, it's gonna be the description. And we want to make it once the user tap any place on the map, we need to call the function show model bottom sheet. And inside the return, we're gonna pass the context and return placemark details sheet. And this sheet have a placemark as a required variable. In our case, we're gonna use places dot first. And after that, we have to double check if it's working perfectly or not. Once we open the sheet, as we can see, it's look ugly. We want to make the text take the full width, so we're gonna wrap it inside row, and the text widget, it's gonna be wrapped inside expanded to take the full row width. And we're gonna repeat the same for the description text, as we can see, inside row and the text inside expanded. Now, after we make the title and the description take the full width screen, we need to modify the column main axis size. So inside the column, we're gonna change the main axis size to min to make the column taking the minimum size that enough for its children. So now it's still not readable for the user. So now we need to just add padding on top of the column. For example, 24 pixel. It's a small. We're gonna make it 32. And we need to add a sized box between the two rows. And we're gonna make it with height 24. And then we're gonna add some style for the title, text style widget. We're gonna make the font size, for example, 24, and the font weight dot bold. And this way it's better and readable. And for the description, we just need add some white space using sized box with height 32. And now I think it's perfectly readable and usable. And now it's ready to use. All we want to do now is replacing the title string with the placemark.name. And don't forget to add the toString because it's maybe a null value. And now we are already showing the name of the placemark on the sheet. Now let's show the rest of the details in the description text. We're gonna make a $sign and curly brackets, and we're gonna write placemark.country, for example, and then another $sign and curly brackets, placemark.locality, and then another $sign with placemark, for example, the sublocality, and then placemark.street name or street. And in this way, we just showed the details of the placemark, the country and locality, and then sublocality, and then street. Now we just show all of them, the country, the locality, sublocality, and the street. And now, once we tap at any place on the map, it's working dynamically. It's fetching the details and show them using the placemark details sheet. Let's try another location. For example, if we go to another country, for example, Italy, if we zoom in, we just press at any place, it's gonna return the placemark details and show them inside the sheet. The country, locality, sublocality, and all the other details. And I think for this placemark, there is no locality, so it's an empty string. Now we finished the first functionality, and it's picking or showing details for a specific placemark. Now let's allow the user to search in the map and navigate or moving the camera to that specific place. We need to add a text field, so we will go to the Google Map. We're gonna wrap it with column. We're gonna put a text field top of the Google Map widget, and then we will put the Google Map inside expanded. As we can see, we have a text field and the map. Or we can put them inside the stack. So we're gonna replace the column with a stack to make it more modern. And then we will remove the expanded. And then we will add positioned. We will add the text field. And we will specify from the top 0 pixel, from the left 0 pixel, and from the right 0 pixel. So now we use the stack instead of using column. So because it's a transparent widget, we're gonna add some decoration. Inside the text field, there is a key called decoration, and it's type input decoration. And inside it, there is a border key, and inside it, we're gonna add outlined input border. And for the focused border, this is when user focusing or typing on the text field. And the outlined input border, it's the type of the text field that have around it a border from the all sides. So we will wrap the text field with padding, and we're gonna make it 8, maybe 16. Now we want to add color of the text field. We can change the color using the fill color key with colors.white. But as we can see, nothing changed because we didn't change the field to true. So once we make it a true, as we can see, it's now white. And we can add a hint widget, for example, text. We will make it search here. As we can see, we just added a simple text field here to allow the user to search. And the first function that we was passing latitude and longitude, and it's returning place marks. But the location from address, it's returning locations from placemark name. So we're gonna copy this function, and we're gonna scroll the text field that we make it, And inside the text field, there is a key called onChanged. And any value that we entered inside the text field, it's inside the value string. So simply we're gonna call this function and we're gonna make it a synchronized function. And we will replace the default string with the value of the text field. But we have to double check that the value is not null and it's not empty value. So we're gonna make an if condition. If the value is not empty, just call the function. And then we're gonna make then function as we make before. And this function returning future list of locations, as we can see. So we will replace the V with locations. And to double check it's working perfectly or not, we're gonna print the latitude. And of course, don't forget to make the latitude the toString with casting because it's double value. And we will write latitude before it to make it visible and easy to see inside the debug console. And once we search here, as we can see, let's make the latitude in the search. And as we can see, it's printing the latitude once we change any character inside the search bar or the text field. And now we have to know about something. It's called Google Map Controller. And at the top of the widget code, we're gonna define Google Map Controller and it's gonna be nullable. But of course, we don't want to make it null forever, so we want to pass value to it. So inside the Google Map, there's another key, it's called onMapCreated. And this function returning controller. So simply we will equal the map controller that we make with the controller that generated from the Google Map widget. This controller will allow me to animate and move the camera. Inside the onChange function, and after we fetched locations, we're gonna use the map controller dot animate camera, and don't forget to add null check. And then inside the camera update variable, we're gonna replace it with camera update dot new lat long zone. And this function allow me to add a new lat long and a new zone. For example, if we add a lat long, what we're gonna pass for latitude, we're gonna add locations that first dot latitude, and for the longitude, locations that first dot longitude. Why we have an error here? Because we are using the locations, and the locations, it's out of the brackets of the then function. So we're gonna move it inside the then function brackets. And then for the zone 15, and this function accepting duration. And the duration here is the duration of moving the camera to the first location in locations. And for example, if you defined duration variable, and if we pass milliseconds, for example, 500, it's gonna move the location in half of the second. So now if we lift the screen and back again, it should working perfectly and getting the user location. And now let's test the search. For example, we will search for Mecca. It should move us to Mecca. If we just tried Rome, it should move the camera to Rome. From here, I can customize the duration of moving the camera to make it after 1 second, to make it more smoother. And now it's working perfectly. And now what we learned in today's video, we learned how to make a bottom sheet that show Placemark details and learned how to make a search bar in the Google Map and Flutter app.